I'm a man. I hate to say it, I am a man. And Sor Juana de la Cruz wants you to think that I'm the reason for all of her problems. Or all of women's problems, really. Or actually, all of women's and men's problems. You can call me aggressive, you can call me crazy, you can call me all of these things, and it doesn't take away from the fact that the rhetoric being presented in Foolish Men is damaging. I've read it multiple times, and it strikes a chord with me. I think of how this could change a nation's perception towards 50% of its population. And then I also think about how it changes the way that we navigate our conversations with one another. Sor Juana de la Cruz presents an argument in Foolish Men that poses men as being foolish, quite literally in the title. This, when overlaid and contrasted with Montaigne's For Cannibals, I couldn't help but see the resemblances between the way that the cannibals are being presented from a European perspective and the way that Sor Juana de la Cruz presents men. I'm not going to apologize for the way that I live my life. And I don't think I should have to. In Montaigne's For Cannibals, you see two perspectives. You see the perspective of the traveler, and then you see the perspective of the European viewing someone else's culture. The way that the European mind in Montaigne's For Cannibals viewed the cannibals of Brazil was almost like aliens, or animals, or even really cannibals, to be honest. But in fact, the biggest resemblance that I could say that argument was to how Sor Juana de la Cruz presented men. I'm sorry, but I'm not the cause of all your problems. And I don't think I should be blamed as such. Although that this isn't the same argument that Montaigne showed in For Cannibals, the same type of disassociation with the reality that how another person lives or how another person presents themselves in a day-to-day basis, although it's not your perspective to view it on them, it is very, very ignorant or even foolish to put the type of assumptions on to people that you do not know, which I think was the main gist of Montaigne's For Cannibals. Is you see the way that another side lives. You see it, you breathe it, you feel it, but you don't really know until you're actually in it. And all of your assumptions are built on the fact of you are a victim of your own perspective. I'm not saying that I expect Sor Juana de la Cruz to understand what it's like to live as a man. And I also don't put that expectation onto her as well. But what I will say is I don't think it's fair for her to iterate the type of discourse that she has, because it almost puts men as a whole, like as a category, into a weird realm that could only be described as animal-like, which is actually the same type of perspective Montaigne encourages the reader to shed away from and for cannibals. Montaigne's point throughout his book is that you see and you judge, and you shouldn't, because you don't know. And even if you did, you're still being influenced by your own experiences and your own challenges. Anything might feel like cannibalism to you. But is it really worse than the way that you live your life? All of these questions are being posed throughout his writing. And the way that we're able to bounce back from the traditional perspective of what it looks like for a European mind to then go and overlay it with something that is so new and something that is so wild and rare to see in comparison. We see that comparison throughout the writing. And then we also see the fact that through Sir Juana de la Cruz's writing, we see very, very similar sentiments. And the argument is that Sor Juana de la Cruz cannot physically be in the man's body. Well, in like their heads and their souls. And her experience is built on the way that she has lived her life. But that in conjunction with what we're talking about with the way that Montaigne is discussing cannibalism is almost the exact same thing. And I won't apologize. I'm a man, and I'm not the root of all your problems. And I think it's a shame that I'm being blamed for them.